So you were getting, the Biden administration was buying ads from you?
Yeah, I was doing full-on political propaganda. The funny thing is they're like, do not disclose, this is an ad. Can you say like, as a person of color, you know, that you feel reflected? And it's like a white woman emailing this to me, and she's like giving me this script, and I'm like, no.
Welcome back to Tracking That, a channel where we try to track what liberals are saying but end up not being able to as usual. And in this video, we have clear evidence that the Biden administration and even Planned Parenthood has been paying TikTokers or influencers to spew their garbage opinions on social media without having a content disclosure setting, aka not saying this video is an ad. Farah Khalidi is a TikToker OnlyFans creator who was paid by the Biden administration and Planned Parenthood to take ad revenue to do political propaganda. Basically, they gave her a speech and she had to make a video on it. They chose her because she was a woman of color to make them look good, and then told her specifically to not disclose it was an ad because apparently propaganda is not considered a product according to the TikTok terms of service. And the funny thing is that it was a white person telling her how to feel as a person of color the whole time. But that's really the Democrat Party in a nutshell. Have you ever noticed that a white Democrat gets really offended for a different race and make it their whole personality, then try to convince the people of that race to be offended? It's really bizarre.
So you were in school, you were still in college when you started as a TikTok person, right? Or you started OnlyFans when you were in school too?
No, I started TikTok like the spring semester of my senior year, and I was like, fuck, I finally have to start applying for law school. And then like, you know, female privilege, life is so easy for a, you know, woman. Obviously, I lucked out. I'm just kidding. I lucked out. And then, you know, TikTok was basically full time for me. I think I was taking ads by the time I graduated college from like the Biden administration and Planned Parenthood and like dating apps and stuff. So it was like fully financially, you know, sustaining.
So you were getting, the Biden administration was buying ads from you?
Yeah, I was doing full on political propaganda.
And they would just, really? With like what kind of, like Biden created 10 million jobs
yeah,
this year?
Yeah, honestly. And the funny thing is they're like, do not disclose this is an ad because, you know, they're like, technically it's not a product, so you don't have to disclose it's an ad. Because I think they just wanted like some edgy girl of color to just tell people, like when they nominated like Ketanji Brown Jackson, they're like, can you say like as a person of color, you know, that you feel reflected? And it's like a white woman emailing this to me, and she's like giving me this script, and I'm like, no. And she's like, please. And I'm like, no, I'll like talk about the news of it, but I'm not gonna be like, I'm not gonna have a white person tell me to be like, you know, this is how I feel as a person of color. Like, it's just so, I think that black-pilled me slightly on like, you know, political propaganda stuff.
So the Biden administration sees, oh, here's this young,
yeah, I mean, they use like a conduit. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's not Biden, but it's like a third party. You know what I mean? It's like a media company that's doing it on his behalf. I'm not blaming him for this.
Yeah, and the message is like, because you're a dark-skinned woman, you will be inspired by Ketanji Brown Jackson, and all the kids should support her.
Yeah, they're like, basically as like another black person, just say that like you feel reflected by Ketanji. I'm like, no, I'll talk about like Ketanji's background and her accomplishments, but like I never, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna say like the corny stuff. Even if it was a brown person emailing it to me, I'm like, no, that's not like how I feel. Like I don't look at like Ketanji and feel like, wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
Ketanji Brown Jackson was such a good pick because I'm a woman of color and it makes me feel validated. Like, come on. And it's clear they're targeting people of the minority community to spew their propaganda, but this really brings a lack of trust to influencers on social media because I know damn well this isn't the only case. I'm sure there are thousands of others, and probably not just on the left. Remember when Newsmax requested money from Vivek Ramaswamy to get good coverage? Now, you might think to yourself, why is this a problem? CNN and MSNBC spew propaganda all the time. And my analogy would be, imagine if you have your favorite political influencer news anchor, whether it be Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, Don Lemon. Okay, never mind, no one's favorite is Don Lemon. But you get the point. Imagine they were handed a script each day by a presidential administration to spew their lies or talking points without disclosing they were getting paid by them. You'd be like, what the hell? I came here to get your opinion and analysis, not the political individuals. This is why independent journalism is on the rise, because we really can't trust anyone anymore. But I think we all knew this at some point because some of the political analysis videos seem to be too staged. To wrap this video up, I'm going to show you a clip from 6 years ago on local news coverage talking points being in sync. It reminds me of the same talking points that each liberal networks use on a daily basis, like insurrection or threat to democracy.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about troubling, irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
Plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.